We've all been there. You have an exam tomorrow morning, have an evening spare the night before, but have no idea about what to do. I had friends pull all-nighters, spam out on our group chats, and just stress out in general. But if you really want to be in the best frame of mind before your exams, I wouldn't recommend doing any of these, well, obviously. So this video will essentially give you a core principle before moving on to a couple of tactics which will help you prepare yourself best for your exam tomorrow morning. But if you're interested about what videos I put out on this channel and want to have a say for yourself, I've got a community down below in my description, so go ahead there and let me know what you want to see. So we'll start with the core principle that I mentioned in the intro. And you may find it's like some stupid psychology trick or wishy-washy, whatever you want to say. But once you understood it, or once I understood it, my mental health improved like crazy and my success and achievements went up like crazy too. I've done my research, I've refined it, and the core principle is only select the thoughts that will take you further. So everyone gets these times where they are like imagining the worst. So I'll explain this in terms of exams. I had this once for English literature. I was just imagining constantly that a stupid question in Macbeth about Banquo or Duncan would come up, and I had no idea what to write in the exam. So instead of trying to revise and trying to focus on what could potentially come up, I was focusing on the more obscure things, the things that would cause the most panic. This really messed up my mind because I was focusing on the things that would keep me stagnant rather than the things that would potentially come up and potentially take me forward too. But you may be thinking that these thoughts just may come naturally to you, and no doubt for me they did as well. But what you have to do is to just use your common sense. If it's something stupid like a Banquo question or Duncan question which is really panicking you right now, then what's the point of even focusing on it? You have to use that like rationality or reason, or just do something, use your free will. I don't even know what to say. Use something to just get that thought out of your mind and focus on the things that will just make you more progress in the future. Then occasionally you'll get the ones that will take you forward. So it's your opportunity to double down on them too. This is something that you really have to understand before we move on to the tactics now. So tactic 1 is just be comfortable with how much you revise. You may not revise everything to the best of your capability, but you should know intuitively that it will be enough if a question will come up in the future. I think I was fortunate in that every evening, apart from English literature of course, that I felt really comfortable, or I just said to myself, I'm happy with how much revision I've done for this exam. And I knew intuitively that I would get the grade 2. But if you're thinking that, oh, maybe I've not done enough, or maybe I need to cover something a little bit more, then go ahead and cover those topics. I know it sounds simple, it sounds silly, but it's really important that you have a good grasp on everything before your exam. Make sure you don't stress about it, and that's where the core principle comes in. If you continue to stress and say you don't know enough, or maybe that you won't succeed because you don't know the content, then those simply won't take you forward. But if you become comfortable with how much you revised, then there's no doubt that you will do better in your final exam, and it's just proven by psychology that it works too. So yeah, this is how you should essentially start your evening. If you feel like you need to cover more content, then go ahead and cover it. But even if you don't need to cover content, tactic 2 recommends that you would do to pass papers with a mindset to almost consolidate your knowledge rather than to do as well as possible. You will have time spare if you're happy with how much content you've covered. And even if you're not, I would recommend that you still move on to these past papers. And when you're doing these past papers, I will guarantee you, like 100% sure, that you'll get something wrong in them. You won't get 100% in the final exam, and you won't get 100% now. It was so easy for me before my GCSEs to start panicking because I was getting things wrong in past papers that I probably should have gotten right. It's so easy to make things, well, you getting things wrong as a catastrophe. But in reality, it isn't. It's an opportunity to consolidate your knowledge before you sit the exam, and hopefully something like that may come up and you'll get it right in the future. You hear your teachers say this all the time: if you make the mistake now, you won't make it in the exam. And guess what? They're probably right. You have to go into this final revision session with a mindset to learn still, not to smoke the paper, do as well as possible. Because yeah, you will get something wrong in the final exam tomorrow, but that's not a problem if you almost try to prevent how many things you get wrong now. So this is essentially all the revision you need to do. You focus on content a little bit if you really need to, then move on to past papers afterwards. But the final thing is completely aside from the revision. Tactic 3, which I've called it, says talk to people who care about doing well but won't demean you. Because I'm naturally competitive in my academics, I saw people in my school as competitors to getting the grade in my exam. But instead of using that competition to demean other people, to put them off, it almost motivated me to do as well as possible for myself. If they're competing with you, it's natural, it's psychological to want to do as well as possible to compete with them. But it's the wrong thing to do to go and put them off to lower their chances. And that's why I avoided the friends who had almost tried to put me off, who had tried to demean me. But I spoke to people, still, who wanted me to do well, and I wanted them to do well too. I had a friend in English literature. Well, he was in my classes, and both of us would just compete every single time to do as well as possible. But in the final thing, I knew that he wanted to do well, I wanted him to do well, and it was the same in reverse for him. There's no doubt that I just wanted to do better than him because I've been competing with him for the past couple of years. Fortunately for him, I won't expose what happened in the final exam, but it really helped me stay motivated because I knew there was other people who really wanted to do well too. And that helped me do the best, get all the 9s that I got in my final exams. So yeah, if you did find this video helpful, I've got a community link in the description down below, and I wish you all the best for your exams.